Many of us believe that we are already in a recession, although some are still keeping a blind eye and would say we are not. But by definition, 2 consecutive quarters of negative gross domestic product is already a recession. So the US entered a recession in the summer of 2022. However, Robert Kiyosaki believes that recession is not the end of the line, and instead people must prepare for the worst, the new Great Depression. Kiyosaki is well known for his teachings about money and finances that we don't learn in school. He describes the kind of errors that most individuals often commit in this setting and offers advice on what to stay away from amid the present market crisis. Robert Kiyosaki is an American businessman, investor, and best-selling author. One of his most popular books is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. In this video, we will discuss Robert Kiyosaki's best solution to what is said to be the worst Great Depression that the American people will face. Robert Kiyosaki said, "All America has done is produce bubbles. So we have a bubble in real estate, a bubble in stocks, and a bubble in bonds. Everybody's happy, thinking they're getting rich today. But in reality, the current situation is so frightening. The repo market collapsed again, which it did in 2008. Then Lehman went down. America stopped producing and making things." Kiyosaki added that after 2008, they bought real estate properties as they crashed, and they made a fortune because it's one of the biggest opportunities. However, this practice has a negative impact on the country's economy. This is going to be the biggest bubble in world history that's going to bust, and Robert thinks America's going into the next depression. America is going to be broke. This time, according to Robert, is going to be more painful than last time. What most people don't know is that in 1971, former US President Richard Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard, so the dollar became debt. They could print it and they had to raise taxes to collect the money back. He said we're at war with Russia. US President Joe Biden is going hand in hand with Venezuela and to Iran to try and get oil, but he cuts off US oil. The problem today, according to Robert, is this is the everything bubble. This is the biggest bubble in world history. It's going to be big.
What do you recommend people do? Because people are talking about inflation. I think we're in depression right now. And we're going to be the biggest depression in world history, because the Fed can't not keep printing money and hope it stays afloat, because the shadow banking system, or called the euro dollar system, is 1,000 times bigger than the Fed.
According to Kiyosaki, with what's going on in the world today, you better step up your education because we're in serious financial trouble right now. Kiyosaki mentioned lessons from his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. If you're going to be a rich man, you better learn 2 things right now. Be an entrepreneur, and you've got to learn how to sell. And secondly, you've got to know real estate, because real estate is debt and taxes.
I think it's interesting that they use those terms rather than what I grew up as. It was called network marketing. And network marketing got such a bad name over the years, but I think it's a very valuable, the network marketing industry does a fabulous job teaching people to be entrepreneurs, because our school system teaches us to be employees, but we really do need to be more and more in sales. And the reason I'm sensitive to it is my poor dad, who has a PhD, he hated salesmen. And so I grew up him always speaking badly about salesmen. And his idea of success in life was get another college degree. And he died poor. And but he couldn't, because he couldn't sell. And then my rich dad, who was my best friend's father, when I got out of the Marine Corps and my poor dad wanted me to go fly for the airlines, I said, I'm done flying. He says, well, go back to school, get your PhD. I said, I'll wind up like you. poor, helpless, and desperate, PhD. So I said to my rich dad, who was my best friend's father, I said, I want to be an entrepreneur like you, because he was raising me since I was 10. And he says, well, then you better learn how to sell. And I went, and so that's when the two fathers clashed. Well, they clashed a lot while I was growing up. But I had such a negative impression of selling because my whole family hated salespeople. And so I begged my rich dad, I said, oh, please, there's got to be another way. How can I be an entrepreneur without learning how to sell? He says, you can't do it. It's the number one skill of an entrepreneur. I just couldn't believe what he was saying to me. So finally, out of desperation, I was begging my rich dad, and my poor dad said, I told you, get your PhD, get your master's, get your PhD, fly for the airlines. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be an employee like him.
Robert Kiyosaki explains that in 1974, he took his first real estate course and opened his eyes up. He discovered then that he doesn't need money to buy real estate and paid no taxes on top of that. He said just before he got out of the Marine Corps, he got a job with Xerox and learned how to sell. As a result, he got sales skills and understood real estate. So why is Robert Kiyosaki rich today? Because he took 2 courses, learned how to sell, and learned about real estate. Robert explained that going back to school to take MB or PhD doesn't work all the time unless he wants to be a poor, highly educated man with a 401k. Relying on pension, in Robert's opinion, was one of the biggest screwed jobs ever because you're putting people who don't know anything about investing and they're now counting on Wall Street to keep them alive into their late years. We're going into a depression. When President Joe Biden took off the Keystone XL pipeline, inflation went through the roof. That wipes out the poor. Robert Kiyosaki explained that people have no money. People can't afford to eat because of the impact of the high oil price. When the price of oil goes up, fertilizer goes up. And when fertilizer goes up, food prices goes up. Robert Kiyosaki also shared his experience when he talked to a woman who finally got her real estate license. That woman said she's gonna start flipping real estate and she's quitting her job. He said he advised her that this is not the right time to quit her job and start flipping real estate. People really had no idea what was going to happen and that this is going to be the biggest bubble in world history that was going to bust. Kiyosaki said he was really kinda disturbed by a couple of people who have been with him for years because they haven't done anything differently. For 17 years, they do the same old thing. They cannot change. Though they're smart people, they just cannot change. Like Robert was talking to people he have known for years. He even asked, how much gold have you bought? None. How much silver did you buy? None. All they did was read my book. This is what it means when Robert says power is the ability to do, and people don't have that power. American people are going to keep going down the suicide cliff no matter what. We can only survive the impact of the anticipated worst depression ever when people start to learn new things and change the way we do things. The biggest power is the power to change internally. If you learned something from Robert Kiyosaki today, then don't forget to like and share this video. Also, click the subscribe button and the notification bell so you'll be updated whenever we have new uploads. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.